Welcome back to the GCSE Maths Pro YouTube channel. In this video, we will be looking through iteration, but specifically when you're asked to show that there is a solution between two numbers. So this is an example of that type of question. It will likely be one part of a bigger iteration question and is usually 2 marks, but it is really easy once you know exactly what to do. So we need to show that the equation x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5 equals 0 has a solution between x is minus 3 and x is minus 4. So that'll often give you obviously the equation, but also 2 values. So for your first mark, you are going to substitute in both values, so obviously separately. So wherever it says x, I'm going to put, to start with, x is minus 3. So just show that you've substituted it in. So cubed plus 4 times minus 3 squared. Now obviously you can either work it out yourself if it's non-calculator or in your calculator, but do be careful if you have negatives that you need to square and things like that. Make sure that your answer is accurate. So as you can see, I've used loads of brackets, but you can obviously work out part for yourself. You should get the answer, in this case, that is 4. So we'll just write that there. And then for x is negative 4, do the same thing. So negative 4 cubed plus 4 times negative 4 squared minus 5. You can see for that one I've got negative 5. So that's your first mark. Even if you don't know what that means, that's your first mark. The second mark is for writing some kind of conclusion as to why that tells us that there is a solution. So you can see here on the right hand side of my equation it was 0. When I substitute in minus 3 I get 4, which is above 0. When I substitute in minus 4, I get minus 5, which is below 0. So 1 positive, 1 negative in that case. 1 above 0, 1 below 0. That's what we're looking for. If it's equal to 0, you're looking for it to be 1 above, 1 below, or 1 positive, 1 negative answer. You just need to memorize this sentence, basically. Some version of this sentence. So we're going to say sign change. So what that means is that it's gone from positive to negative or negative to positive. You can see there's a sign change. Therefore, and then you just basically copy this bit here. Solution between whatever they said. There we go. So sign change, therefore that means there's a solution between x is minus 3 and x is minus 4. You don't necessarily have to literally understand it, as long as you know that that's what you need to do and that's what you need to write. So your first mark is for substituting in both values that they give you, obviously working out the answers. And then your second mark is for writing down a conclusion. So therefore, there is a sign change. This one is very specific though to the fact that the equation is equal to 0. We will have examples where the equation is not equal to 0, and I'll tell you what you can do in that case. But if it's equal to 0, you want one number that's positive, one number that's negative. You could also say that. One answer is positive, one answer is negative, therefore solution between x is this and x is that. That's fine. So those are your 2 marks. Really straightforward, just memorize that that's what you need to do. Now, if you are interested to know why that makes sense, I will explain it now. If you're not, feel free to skip to the next question, to the next chapter. I'll have all the timestamps in the description. So this is the exact same question. If I go back, we had x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5, didn't we? Here, x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5. That's the same thing. I've just shown you the graph now. We put it equal to y. This is that graph. Now, obviously, when we substituted in x is minus 3, I'll show you this. When I substitute in x is minus 3, the answer was 4, wasn't it? Which, in the context of a graph, is the y coordinate, minus 3, 4. You can see here, this blue dot, minus 3, 4. It's obviously, in terms of y, positive, isn't it? If we then substitute in x is minus 4, which is what we also had to do, we got y is equal to minus 5, which is then down here, isn't it? See, originally, we were up here. This was the minus 3, 4, wasn't it? And now we're down here. So have a look at that on the graph. What does that mean though? That still doesn't necessarily tell us what we mean by a solution. So the fact that, this was our question here, wasn't it? Show that the equation x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5 equals 0, has a solution between x is minus 3 and x is minus 4. Do you see how, in terms of the graph, we've still got x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5. The only thing that's different was the y. It was y here, but in my question it was 0. That means where y is 0, which is this red line that I've drawn here. Obviously the x-axis, isn't it? So what we're saying in terms of a solution is somewhere that it crosses, in this particular case, where y is equal to 0. So you can see there's a solution here. It's a cubic, so there's obviously 3 solutions. But in terms of what we were looking for, we were focusing on this solution on the left, weren't we? The one that is between x is minus 3 and x is minus 4. So how does it show? Because there's a sign change, how does that show us that there is a solution? Think about it vertically. If I go from 4 positively, and then obviously my next one along is minus 5, and it's obviously a curve, it's a line, that means, I mean, you can obviously see it here, but if you think about it in your head, that means that that line must have to cross the 0 line, mustn't it? This curve must have to cross through 0, because how else can you go from 4 to minus 5 without just jumping? The blue curve, the graph, has to cross 0, doesn't it? Vertically, in terms of y. And that is where we are looking for a solution, is when it crosses 0. So let's get some lines. There, you can see those lines. Obviously it goes through at 4, it then comes down, 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 crosses through the 0 line, the red line, and then goes to minus 5. So at minus 3, it's already up here. This bit here is minus 3, isn't it? Where x is minus 3, it's up here at 4, it's a positive coordinate for y. Then we go 1 coordinate along the x-axis to where x is minus 4. The y-coordinate is now negative. That means it has to have come down, doesn't it? It has to have crossed through y is equal to 0. And because our equation was equal to 0, that's the line that we're looking for solutions on. So because there was a sign change, as in 1 positive value for y, 1 negative value for y, that's the sign change, isn't it? Positive to negative or vice versa. The line must have continued through 0. Because how do you go from positive to negative without crossing through 0? You can't, can you? So hopefully that explains why it makes sense. You don't technically have to know this as long as you're happy with the fact that you have to write the conclusion at the end. That would be enough on its own. As long as you can get the 2 marks, you don't necessarily have to understand it. They're not going to ask you to literally explain it in much detail, but as long as you know how to write down the conclusion, then that would be enough. This is just for if you were interested. So, same type of question again. Show that the equation x cubed plus 8x minus 40 equals 0 has a solution between 2 and 3. For this one, they haven't mentioned that x is 2 or 3, but it's implied, isn't it? Because the only letter we have here is x in terms of this format of the equation. So obviously still substitute in x is 2 and then x is 3. So 2 cubed plus 8 times 2 minus 40. Then you work out what that would equal to. That one gives me minus 16. Then if I substitute in x is 3, we've got 3 cubed plus 8 times 3 minus 40, which gives me 11. So, because we are looking at the fact that the answer to our equation in the question was 0, we are looking to have values where 1 is above 0, 1 is below, which because it's 0 means obviously 1 positive, 1 negative. And here we do have that, we have negative 16 and then positive 11. So again, that means that this graph, if you were to draw the graph, the line has crossed through 0, i.e. a solution. So my conclusion, again, because it's equal to 0, I can say that sign change. Therefore, and then just copy the rest of the question. So solution between x is 2 and x is 3. And there are my 2 marks again. Okay, this one is slightly different, so still worded the same. We've got show that the equation x cubed plus 6x equals 5 has a solution between 0 and 1. So the only thing that's changed here is before we were looking at equations that equaled 0. Hence, we were looking for a sign change, 1 positive, 1 negative. This one now equals 5. So you've got 2 options here. You can either use the equation as it is, and then what we're looking for is when we substitute in 0 and substitute in 1, you're looking for numbers that 1 is above 5 and 1 is below 5. So it might not necessarily be a sign change anymore, because obviously you could have numbers below 5 that aren't negative. But you're just saying, oh, 1's above 5, 1's below 5. Or if you're happy to stick with that same narrative of it equals 0, therefore 1's positive, 1's negative, you can rearrange this equation and just move the 5 across to make it equal to 0. So I'll show you the 2 options. If we do nothing, if we keep it as it is, obviously substitute in the values just as we did before. So obviously when we do 0, I know it seems kind of pointless to write this, but still show them that you've substituted it in. So 0 cubed is obviously still 0, plus 6 times 0, obviously 0. And then when x is 1, 1 cubed is 1, and then plus 6 times 1, 6, so 7. Do you see how we haven't necessarily got a sign change? We've not got one negative or positive, but one is above or below the 5, isn't it? We have got one that's below 5 and one that's above 5, so that's the same logic. Or we can do a little bit extra work, rearrange it. So just when I say rearrange, just take away the 5, move it across, so that it equals 0 again, and then it would work the same way. Obviously, if I substitute in the values, it will now not be 0 anymore, because I'm also taking away 5. So it would be -5. So that one would be the negative one, wouldn't it? -5. And then substitute in 1. Originally, we got 7. Obviously, then take away 5. We get just 2, which is positive. So you can see here, we do get the sign change in that case. So this one, your conclusion would still be the same as before. Sign change. Therefore, solution between x is 0, x is 1. This one, you can't say the words sign change, because obviously there is no technical sign change. If we were to draw it really quick, obviously the red line wouldn't be at 0 anymore. The red line would now be at 5. That's the value of y, isn't it? This graph, just the x cubed plus 6x bit, would look a little bit like this. This is 1, this is obviously 0. So do you see how this one was 7, this one crossed through at 0 here, and so our solution is where it crosses the red line, which is no longer at 0. Because we've got one coordinate at 7, one coordinate at 0, so how do you get from 7 to 0, or 0 to 7? You have to cross through 5, don't you? No, that's not to scale, but you get the point. It has to cross through the 5. So in that sense, my conclusion is just showing that. I've got one value above 5, I've got one value below 5, therefore, same thing. Solution between 0 and 1. Same thing here, solution between 0 and 1. So you can do either of these options. If you want to just keep it the same as going sign change, one positive, one negative, you might have to rearrange some of the questions if they don't already equal to 0. If this one makes sense and you just leave it as it is, that's fine. Obviously, just don't use the word sign change because there might not be one. It might be, it's just that one value is above whatever the answer is, one value is below it. So whichever of these two makes sense to you, that's the one you're going to go with, but it's still the same method. Substitute both values in for x, and then make a little conclusion. So I've got one more that's very similar to that. We've got, show that the equation x cubed plus x equals 52 has a solution between x is 3 and x is 4. So I'll show you both examples again. If I substitute in x is 3, just as it is, 3 cubed plus 3, that gives me 30. And then x is 4, 4 cubed plus 4 is 68. You can see here, again, we don't have a sign change, but if you look at the actual value of 52, one is above, one is below. So it crosses through 52, doesn't it? So there's my conclusion. One value above 52, one value below 52. Therefore, there's a solution between 3 and 4. The other option is making it equal to 0. So I'm going to have to move the 52, just obviously by subtracting it because it's currently positive. And now substitute them in again, but we're subtracting 52 from both of these values that we ended up getting. So for x is 3, we're effectively getting 3 cubed plus 3, which gave us 30, but then we are taking away 52. So that would be -22. So that's my negative solution, the one below 0. And then obviously subbing in x is 4. 4 cubed plus 4 gave me 68, minus 52 isn't going to be enough to make it negative, is it? Gives me positive 16. So that is a sign change, isn't it? So my conclusion would be the same as all the others before, sign change, therefore solution between, and then you choose obviously the numbers they're giving you, x is 3, x is 4. So again, those are your two options. You just have to stick with whatever makes more sense to you personally, and whatever you're going to remember to do in the exam. So that is pretty much everything on how to show that there is a solution between two values of x. So thanks for watching this video. If you found it helpful, make sure to like and subscribe, and leave down below any questions or comments that you might have.